Okay, so now we're about 3-ish months away from the move, and I'm going to share with you a strategy that I absolutely love using when it's possible. And so I'm going to say right from the beginning that this may or may not be possible in every single home. It depends how much space you have, what those spaces are used for, and how much stuff is filling those spaces already. So even if you can't do exactly what I'm showing you today, if there's some way to kind of get creative and use this same strategy in a smaller way, it can really, really help out. So right now, I'm on my knees in what used to be our guest bedroom. And I say used to be because we just said goodbye to our final round of house guests. Now, normally when we say goodbye to house guests, I clean up the room, I wash the sheets, and I, make up the bed so it's all ready to go for the next round. But I know that we're not going to have any more people staying in this room while we live in this house. So this room suddenly became available. And so instead of just making up the guest bed and letting it sit here being useless, I am going to use it as storage. See all that stuff? Oh my goodness. It looks like a lot. So basically what I did is I said, we're moving in, I'm just going to say September from here on out. We don't know for sure, whatever, but I'll just say September. So if we're moving in September, which means it's probably going to take us to the end of October to really get settled into the new house, what can I live without between now and then? So a great example of stuff that we definitely want to keep, but we don't need until well after October, is all of our snow stuff. So we live in Colorado right now, and our kids have snow outfits and boots, and my husband and I both own snowboards, and they have boots and everything, and we want to keep all of that stuff. We definitely see snowboarding and skiing in our future, but we don't need it until winter. So what I've done is I went through the entire house, the kids' bedrooms, our bedroom, the long-term storage, and I went and gathered everything to do with winter and snow gear. And as you can see, I haven't packed it up yet, but I'm planning on packing it up. So it's a keeper. And if I notice any clutter along the way, just as I mentioned in the first video, I'm constantly on the lookout for clutter. So if I see something that the kids have outgrown, or if I see, one kid has 3 pairs of mittens, you don't really need 3 pairs of mittens, I'm going to downsize as I go. And so everything that gets packed up in this room are definite keepers, but they're not anything that we need until November, let's say. Another great example would be all of our guest bedding. As I just mentioned, we're not planning on having any more guests stay in this room, so I washed all of the sheets and everything and the pillows, and I'm packing it all up. Now, what's nice about this is that every time I grab a category of stuff like that and I move it into this room, it creates elbow room in other places. So my kids' closet shrank a little bit when I took out their winter stuff. Our long-term storage shrank a little bit when I brought the snowboards in here. And that makes it a lot easier to work through the other stuff that maybe isn't so clear. So everything in this room was easy and simple and straightforward. Okay, there aren't big decisions going on here. In fact, another thing that I could put in here are Christmas decorations. And if you've seen one of my earlier intentionalized videos, you know that I've already decluttered and downsized all of our holiday decorations. And that's not something that I will need until November and December. So I could hop up to the garage and grab all of those bins and put them in here as well. Again, not because it's wrong to keep our Christmas decorations in the garage. They were absolutely in the right place. But by getting them out of the garage and bringing them into this temporary storage space, just makes dealing with the garage a lot easier. So earlier I mentioned that obviously not everybody has a room sitting around not doing anything, empty of stuff that you can use for storage space. We have been very blessed in this house to have this extra room for our guests. But you can get creative. You can rearrange closet spaces to open up one extra closet and call that temporary storage. I even saw a family who loved this idea so much and really had a lot of decisions to make, and there was too much stuff around the house that they said, you know what, kids, for the rest of the time that we live in this house, we're just going to eat all of our meals at the kitchen counter. And that opened up the dining room. And they pushed all of the chairs to one side, and they used the space under the table, on the table, in the corners for their temporary storage. Now, it looked awful, of course, but it was only for like a month as they were going through this process. And as bad as that dining room looked during that month, oh my goodness, it made everything so much roomier in the other areas of the home where they were making those tougher decisions, like decluttering and downsizing, and are we going to keep this, and is this worth packing up and moving, and should we sell this, and oh, now we need room for the garage sale. All of that other stuff to do with the move is a lot easier when you have elbow room to work with. Okay, so I'm going to get back to packing all of this stuff up, and I will meet you again probably in a couple of weeks.